All right, everybody, welcome to lesson three. Three? Yeah, lesson three of our second science unit. So today, what we're going to talk about, we're still going to talk about kind of built properties of creating structures, right? We talked about materials, we talked about joining components. Today, what we're going to talk about is the differences and similarities between man-made and natural structures and how people take inspiration from nature when they make structures. All right, so to get started, structures are not only man made, they also appear in nature, right? We know this. You look outside, you see a tree, that's a structure, right? Bushes, animal skeletons, things like this. Speaking of, well, what type of structure is a human skeleton? Well, it's a bunch of different component parts, so I would call it a frame. I could call it a combination, right? Could call it that too. The skull is very much a shell, right? The bones themselves are very much solid, and altogether they create a frame. So I could call this a combination structure. If you called it a frame, that's fine also. That might be what I would call it at first glance. But you could call it a combination structure as well. So what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about different parts of the human skeleton. All right, this here is a picture of a knee, someone's knee. All right, so the parts we can see here, we have the bone. So this is the lower part of the leg. This is the upper part of the leg. This is the shin bone. Okay, the bones are basically what provide the frame to make sure your body and your skeleton doesn't collapse. All right, they're hard, they're strong, and they keep you sturdy. Okay, the ligaments are these guys here and these guys here. And they are the piece that hold the bones together. All right? And so the bones don't fall apart. That's what the ligaments are for. Okay? And cartilage is something that is on the surface of some bones. It's this blue stuff in this picture that you put that, well, you don't put it there, but it is on bones in order to make it so when your knee bends or when different parts of your body bend, in this case your knee, the two bones aren't rubbing directly on each other, which would be very painful. All right? It's actually fairly common as people get older that this cartilage kind of starts to wear away a little bit. And that's why people often need to get, or why some people will have to get their knees replaced. Right? My dad had this actually. His cartilage is worn away. So they have to go in and put an artificial knee in here to make it so the bones don't grind on one another. All right, so that's what the cartilage is for. The bones provide the frame, the ligaments stick the bones together, and the cartilage protects the bones from rubbing on one another. Okay? Now, muscles and tendons. We all know about muscles. You know, everybody wants big ones. However, what muscles are actually for, they're the thing that allow your body to move. Without muscles, there's no motion. They contract and relax. So, contract, kind of squeeze, and relax, unsqueeze, so to speak. And that's what makes your arms, your legs, and all your other moving body parts move. Tendons are the thing here, and that's what attaches the muscle to the bone. Without the tendon, the muscle does nothing. All right, a common injury you'll sometimes see in sports is an Achilles tendon. That's the tendon in the back of your foot. And if you break that, you basically cannot walk, right? Because the muscle is now not attached to the bone where it should be. Okay, this is actually an arm, right? This is like your not your bicep, the forearm muscle. and this is the tendon which attaches it to the bone. All right, so that's what the muscle is, that's what it's for, and that's what the tendon is for. It attaches the muscle to the bone. That's what we would call its function, hint, hint. All right, now let's talk a little bit about how humans take inspiration from nature. All right, so on here on the left, we have a mushroom, and on the right, we have an umbrella. Notice how these things are kind of shaped the same way, right? This is because we take inspiration from the shape of a mushroom to create the umbrella, right? When rain falls on a mushroom, it's dry down underneath here. So somebody somewhere figured, hey, let's look at this, take this idea, and use it to cover our heads when it's raining so we don't get wet. All right? Mushroom, umbrella. See how they're very similar, right down to the shape. How about this one? This on the right here is the Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest building in the world. It's in the United Arab Emirates, the Middle East. You can see how it makes these other fairly tall buildings look like the size of ants. And this is a very tall tree. Now you'll recall quite some time ago, I think this was in Unit 1 we talked about this, but so hopefully you remember this idea that trees need to be flexible. Actually, no, this wasn't Unit 1, this was Lesson 1 of this unit. Trees need to be flexible, right? So when the wind blows on them, they don't just snap, right? The wind is able to blow them. Very tall buildings are very similar, and there'll be a video in a YouTube video in the post, which you can watch that shows a skyscraper swaying in the wind. Very tall building swaying in the wind. These buildings are also designed to sway, right? And this is inspiration taken from a tree, right? Because if this wasn't allowed to sway a little bit, it could, under high winds, it could suffer a lot of damage because the wind would just shear it right off. Remember shear force? Shear it right away. And then you will lose part of the building, which could be, well, which would be very dangerous, right? So skyscrapers, just like trees, are designed to sway in the wind. That's the next one. Okay, so your task for today. This is the note, actually. The note will have a lot of the information you need with this first question. So the first question asks you to use these pages to fill in the table. I am going to send the pages home. They will be in your what's it called, in your package. But most of them are in the note. You should be able to find most of the answers, if not all of the answers, in the note. All right, so we've got different structures: bones, ligaments, cartilage, muscles, etc. Things that we talked about. And you're going to tell me what the function is. So as a review, what is the function? Well, the function is what is it used for, right? A pencil is used for writing, so the function is writing. A bed is used for sleeping, so the function is for sleeping on, right? So what do bones do? What do ligaments do? All right, fill it in here. Now the second one I want you to tell me whether a structure is natural or manufactured. Well, what does manufactured mean? Natural, you probably know, is something that appears in nature. Manufactured is the same as man-made, right? So if something is manufactured, it means it's built by people. So a cactus, is that built by people or is that a natural thing? How about a telephone? Right? Well, a cactus is a plant, so I think you can figure out which one it is. And telephones don't exactly grow on trees, so I think you might be able to figure which one that is too. All right? So for each one of these, you tell me whether it's something that occurs in nature or something that people built. Okay? Now this third one is where we're looking at how manufactured structures, man-made structures, are modeled after structures you see in nature. So for each of these, so for a bird's tail, and I give you a little picture, I want you to come up with some structure that's man-made that might remind you of this. So a bird's tail, what kind of looks like a bird's tail? I can think of a couple of things. Put it in here. How about a dandelion seed, right? What's something like a maple tree seed? Something that looks like this, right? Imagine it spinning. That's your hint for that one. Cactus needles. What's like a cactus needle? What is like a bird's nest? What is like a duck's foot? And this one I kind of gave you already. Uh, what is similar to a mushroom? Okay? And all you got to do, you don't have to draw me anything, you just need to write something in here. Okay? All right. So that is all for today's lesson. Until tomorrow or next lesson, should be tomorrow. Um, have a good day. Take care of yourselves and stay safe.